Hi, this is John. This is my show, An American Scheme. This is episode 6. I'm on the part 3 now that, I've been thinking about this, doing this for the last few weeks, and there was so much, and I can't cover all of it. I can't even come close to cover what I want to, and I was trying to first do this in one episode, and then it ran into 2. Now I'm on to the 3rd one. So, because there's still some points here I need to talk about in about the Michael's relationship. So the other thing, so we were talking about the Michael's recording that this woman Glenda, and things that Michael had said in there. So the next part, Michael says, "I've never had a real relationship. My brothers have been married. My brothers have had girlfriends. He says, I really haven't had that." So Michael's saying right there, he's telling you throughout his life, he's done this and he's done that, but not real relationships, not on any fashion, not on marriage, not even dating. Nothing has been a real relationship in his eyes. He's never had a real relationship with any woman in his life at that time, and that includes Diana Ross. No real relationship ever with nobody ever at this time. He's never had a relationship. He doesn't know what a relationship is, and he is desiring at this time. So then later on, Michael says, "I don't want to die without knowing about having a real relationship with the woman or being involved. I was involved, but we never did anything. We never really had sex." And in that part, he's talking about a woman that he actually was messing around with, that this woman was messing with him hard. He had said his nose was wide open. So she definitely was messing with Michael. She was offering him whatever he wanted. She was doing a lot of stuff. They were definitely messing around sexually, but Michael specifies, we never really had sex. They did not have sex. So even with this girl, in that opportunity where Michael is having a good time, he doesn't have sex with her. I can't find anywhere where Michael actually is saying that he had sex with women. It's hard to believe that, but it's possible in his situation. He actually could have been a virgin his whole life. It is actually possible. And so Michael Jackson has, that's the way his relationship, he's telling you, he's never had sex, never had a relationship, not Diana Ross. Hers was a mental thing. The reason he refers it to a mental thing is because she was telling him in the beginning, "I'm your mother, I love you more than anything, I will do anything for you." But then as time, as it stands the test of time, as it came out, that's not what happened. Michael was not accepted into her family. When it came down to it, she would push him aside and say, you go do your thing, And Michael's like, I thought I was the most important thing in the world. I thought you did everything for me, And Michael is not accepted, and he's having to deal with Joe Jackson constantly. Whenever they talk about Michael, Joe Jackson, he's Jackson. Oh, well, that's because he's a Jackson. Joe Jackson is constantly taking credit for Michael's ability because Michael's not actually part of the family. So Joe Jackson is taking all credit for him. He doesn't ever acknowledge that Michael's what a great talent is. He's constantly saying, "Oh, it's because he's a Jackson. It's me. It's me. It's me." And it is him to the point, there is a point without him. It's one of those things, too. Without Joe Jackson, what really happens? How does it develop? How does the story develop? It doesn't develop the same way. And that's the thing with Michael Jackson's songs. If Michael Jackson doesn't have the situation, that the Diana Ross situation that I'm talking about, the real reason why he has the problem childhood, these longings, and the separation with him and a real sexual relationship with women. That's not what's taken place. He becomes the great artist. And because of that, we get his great music catalog. Without all of these situations, without the intimacy with the Diana Ross telling him all the stuff, without her guiding him personally, we don't get the great Michael Jackson catalog. It's different. That's the way life is. It's just different. So there's a give and take. Even as his fans, we have to look at it and say, without this, do we have this? And it's hard to say would you want Michael to have gone through that situation so that we could enjoy his music? I think he would say, yeah, he would say that it was worth it for him. So since it was worth it for him, then I would be like, okay, well, then if it was fine for you, then it was fine for me and stuff. But we obviously know that it was really hard on him. It tremendously hard. To the point that he develops all the separation. He has the fake marriages, 2 fake marriages. See, he gets into the Lisa Marie is 94 to 96. Then, right after that, he jumps right into with Debbie Rowe. Where's the gentleman type of thing? He jumps right into with Debbie Rowe. Then Debbie Rowe's actually pregnant 6 months before they actually get married. And he said that his mother had said that he needed to get married, that it was inappropriate. It's like, yeah, Mr. Gentleman, that was pretty darn inappropriate. So then he's supposed to remember he's married to Debbie Rowe. This is supposed to be a legitimate marriage. In the real world, they're supposed to be married. They're supposed to have intercourse, and he's having children with her. So he has the 2 kids. Then within like 3 years, they get married. 3 years later, she's out of the picture. They're separated again, and he's got the kids. Where's the gentleman thing in that? That boy, they talk about him claiming to be a gentleman. Wow, that's reality. Michael did that, and think about the woman, how he used Debbie Rowe. He used her. Now she offered it, but he sure took advantage of that situation. We know that she produced 2 children for him, for sure. So he definitely took that advantage of that situation. So then Michael, he's got all this separation. He's living in this secret world that he's created, where he's got all these lies. He can't trust anybody. He's got all this separation taking place. And what happened is that Michael, throughout his life, what I've learned is that Michael would drink a little bit. What happens when you're a social person, a socialite, you're constantly being handed champagne or wine. He would have constantly been in a club here or going to a house here, constantly champagne or wine. Michael developed a form of a drinking habit, I would believe, through champagne or wine. And he would start to drink that way. Later on in your life, what happens is, like after he got burned, and then he probably would have been exposed to painkillers. Then once you take a painkiller and you mix it with alcohol, it's a serious buzz. It's a real drug, and you can become a serious drug addict through doing that. And when you're first doing it, you're not thinking about it in any fashion that this is what a drug addict is to become what a drug through starting this process. But it's exactly what happens. And once you start doing that, I would say on the average of 2 times a week, if you go out and drink, even just in this situation, like I said, 2-3 drinks with 1 or 2 pills. If you do that for 2 nights a week over the course of a 2-year period, you are now an alcoholic and a drug addict. That's just the real world. This is the way it works. This is how you become a drug addict. And you don't know what a drug addict is. You've never been around them that much. You don't know how to deal with this situation. And then now you've got to keep it secret, but you are an addict. You keep doing it. You don't turn away from it. So that's where Michael developed into the drug addiction. That's how it slowly develops into where it becomes out of control by the time he's hooked up with Conrad Murray. But I don't believe Conrad Murray's pitching propofol to Michael. Michael's he actually is getting Conrad Murray specifically because Conrad Murray has access to propofol, which means Michael has done propofol in the fashion of using it to become intoxicated or have some kind of high on it. And anybody in the drug world knows that, whoa, that is way out there. That's one of those things that's like, he was using what and he was doing what with what? Wow, these are like unheard of stuff, because you have to have a physician on the scene to be managing your drug addiction. That's when you're you're on a way crazy level of where drug addicts lead to, and that's what Michael had become. It's hard to believe it, but it's there. And people that don't understand drugs, they don't understand how people could be that level, the worst drug addicts, and still function in society. But let me tell you, they function. They can function at a very high level. There's only certain parts where they're totally wasted, but there's another parts where they're functioning, and it's because they have so much energy, and it just mellows you out, and then you're just on cruise control, and you go do your business, and you go through your days. So Michael developed that drug habit. So then there's that part where Dr. Murray records Michael. And in this recording, and so they call it like the slurred speech recording of Dr. Conrad Murray's recording of Michael. So in this recording, Michael's expressing his most heartfelt pain. And he's relating to it through children, but he's also referring to his personal, how he feels it. He feels this pain personally, inside, on a personal level. And so, like what he says, he's talking about like these orphan children. And why does he feel such a connection with orphan children if he was raised in such a big family with such a good mother? He has such a good connection with his mother. Why would he have that kind of connection? Why does he understand them on that level and their pain? So he says they're sick because of their depression. So right there he's saying that the sickness is a mental thing. It's a mental problem with a lot of them, which he's connecting to himself. He understands that because that's his sickness. That is his sickness. He's sick because he's depressed. And he says they walk around with no mother. The psychological degradation of that. I had no childhood. I feel their pain. I feel their hurt. Michael Jackson has pain, he has hurt, because he has no mother, and it is psychologically the degradation of that word is degrading to him. And it's got him depressed. This is his pain. He is wasted when he's saying this. It's like a church sermon, and he is spilling the beans. You are seeing a 50-year-old man crying out, this is what I'm in pain of. I've no mother. Why would he have a pain of understanding the children's pain of having no mother, unless my story's right about the Diana Ross screwed him up? Then this is where all the Peter Pan shit comes in, because he's orphaned. He is a lost boy. He's trying to constantly, he's looking to please them. This is where he wants to stay forever young because he's totally lost at that point. And this is where it's like that's the point where Michael becomes the Peter Pan syndrome, the psychological term that's created around what he is. The guy who doesn't want to ever grow up because of what they did to him at that time. This is my story, explains everything. The story that the world tells, the American dream story and all that stuff, it's BS. It doesn't explain the real story. If their story's true, Michael doesn't have a fake relationship with Lisa Marie Presley. That doesn't happen. Michael doesn't have a fake marriage with Debbie Rowe, which generates 2 white children. Michael doesn't turn into the craziest drug addict in the world where he's actually got a doctor on duty with him that's giving him the drugs intravenously. These things don't occur in the Michael Jackson story that we've been told. My story is the one that's clarifying everything. Any Michael Jackson fans, if you do care about Michael Jackson in any way, you need to start paying attention and understand what they did to this man and what caused his real pain. And it's time for everybody to take a step back and let's listen to what's going on and let's see whose story holds up now. That you look at my story and I'll put it up against their story. Their story is shit. Their story killed Michael Jackson. I'm the only one here trying to defend him, speaking his voice that he can't speak, that nobody allowed him to speak. So that's the end of this for right now, and we will talk again later. Bye-bye.